You're on your own. Awesome. Wow. Oh my gosh, one's hussy. One of them is hussy. Oh, I'm gonna kick her. She's gonna kill you in your sleep. So is Riot is basically saying, hey, I came to your planet to basically screw everything up and take over. But by now, someone's gonna die tonight. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Psycholonials, the #1 channel killer. Just kidding. I'm pretty sure people haven't, left the channel for good. They're just like, see Psycholonials? Peace out, not watching this. And I'm like, do not blame you. Do not blame you. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, so this week is probably going to be a big week because we're going to have like a break for a week before it comes back. So before we get, because the last 2 chapters are going to be uploaded on 4/13 and 4/20 because of course. Oh gosh. And I am looking forward to that, mainly because I just want to see how this all completely goes downhill. Because right now, if things are as they seem to be, one of Z's biggest haters is in her circle of clowns. So is Z gonna be smart about this, or is she gonna fly completely off the handle? I don't know. There's only like 2, possibly 3 ways this could go. Either Z is totally in the right, and we have like, oh gosh, Candace Schmandis from Instagram basically coming in and trying to take over everything out of spite, question mark? We still don't know what Z was completely canceled for. Or B, Z's just gonna freaking like empty like a round of bullets into her back without any context, and the rest of Ring 3 is gonna be like, oh, well, and Andrew Hussey hasn't appeared in the last scene either, so where was he in that scene? Anyway, oh goodness, this entire thing, this Psycholonials lends itself to memes so much. But I haven't seen any because I haven't been looking for them. If I wanted to make memes, which I don't because I want to forget about Psycholonials as soon as it happens. After it's done, I want to forget all about it. But if I did want to do memes, I would choose hip, like the hip animation meme, Clown World, of course, Tom McDonald, and just any of Sarah Shower's vines, just any of them. I especially like the,
Oh my god, I love your shirt. Thank you so much. It's like so cute. Can you like dial it back?
Yeah, that vine. Hopefully I was able to get it. But anyway, enough babbling on from me. Let's get into this. I found a quick way to get to this from here. And we go and click this. Chapters. Yes. And we got 7. Riotous looks like he's about to like turn into Raiden from Mortal Kombat. Let's take a look at this. Chapter 7 of 9, it never even stood a chance. The sword is slowly falling. This is taking a real long time for that sword to fall. Live by the sword, die by the sword. Ooh, we skipped a month? Just 'cause? Interesting pizzicato going on here. I think it's pizzicato. Yeah, okay. So it's new. Does she have more followers or less followers than that last time? Z, Supreme Honk effects of the Jubilites, clown, gender, location, new Whimsifay. Oh no. Did she cut all her hair off, or is that just... I need to know. After another month is swallowed into the dystopian 2020 abyss, the march towards social media supremacy continues unabated. Last week, you leapfrogged over Katy Perry. Today, you just slid past Miley Cyrus. Both accounts took 7 years to reach their marks, while yours only took 3 months to surpass them. The woman you just eclipsed, Miley, has been outspokenly critical of law enforcement through her platform. But as far as you're aware, she's never personally ended the life of an officer or given the orders to execute an entire precinct. Pathetic, really. Jeez. Chloe, Nikki, no. Okay. And it's the little touches like this which make all the difference when it comes to clawing your way to the top. It's a matter of commitment, you think? You've been catching a lot of sons of guns slipping lately, and rankings have served them notice. Limo? Where is there a limo? I guess Nantucket has a limousine service. Probably only the one. But still. Yeah, she just cut her hair rose short. Due to resuming control of your empire with your distinct personal touch, life here on the island has stabilized after a rocky start in the days following the evacuation. The few deft political maneuvers have brought stability to your stolen summer colony, but the same can't be said for the rest of the nation, and at this point, many parts of the world as well. What the heck? Oh gosh, they have Jubilite counties now. Wait, is the Massachusetts 413 area code taken over? Please tell me it is. The U.S. is becoming increasingly fractured due to many localized Jubilite insurrections, and a great number of police stations across the nation have fallen. Certain regions of America, which now represent unpoliced, demilitarized pockets of Jubilite-controlled territory, have gotten so large, Ring 3 has categorized these parts of the map as Jubilite counties. Demilitarized after you have those, were they assault weapon? Not assault, don't make me say assault weapons. Assault guns? Assault weapons are not a thing, assault guns are. I'm sure anything can be an assault weapon. Anyway, sorry, ramble. That is the entire counties in the U.S. where the majority of all police stations have been commandeered, and the number of counties which qualify has been making everyone in the government extremely nervous. Nervous enough to begin listening to certain demands you've been making for weeks. In recent days, hostilities in the country have finally started cooling off. This is because of negotiations you just completed, which have resulted in a treaty between the Jubilite movement and the U.S. government. The treaty grants formal recognition of the island of Nantucket as a sovereign nation totally independent from the United States, which is now called New Whimsifay. The mainland agrees to keep the power running and all naval blockades lifted so you can continue supplying the island with needed resources. In exchange, you've agreed to a non-aggression pact with the U.S. and have publicly called for a nationwide cessation of hostilities from your Jubilite militias. See, militias. Definitely. No more capturing police stations, and no more expansion of Jubilite County territory. For now. Oh, Russia. That's ironic. Your movement has been seeping into the fabric of global politics as well. Certain nations have started showing signs of instability as the insurrections dominated by clowned-up faces have swelled to enormous sizes around the world. While such volatility has stalled in the US due to your treaty, it's only been picking up steam in other nations. You've begun to lose track of what's happening where, since there's so much to observe all at once, and you've had your hands full with domestic matters. Oh, wow. They got people in clown makeup. I'm crying. What hasn't gone unnoticed to you is the border cultural phenomenon it's become in such a short period of time. Many celebrities are outwardly identifying as Jubilites now, both feeling emboldened by the political strength of the movement and enticed by the fashionable statement it's become to clown up in solidarity with the rebellious spirit of your manifesto. Post Malone. Sorry. Most of these people you could hardly give a crap about, but you're flattered nonetheless. However, you were floored when you heard Post Malone himself was hopping into your tent. He even got some new clownish face tattoos to mark his newfound dedication to your cause. You have no idea if he found out what a huge fan of his you are, but you'd think you'd die of embarrassment if he knew. Sometimes you wonder if Abby sent him a sneaky message behind your back to lure him into the fold. You'd screw her up if you found out she did that. Oh gosh, that's another K-pop guy. Speaking of which, it seems Abby has managed to use her newfound celebrity influence to climb the ladder to her own faves. She's now in contact with their leader, Namjoon, which she seems incapable of going more than 15 minutes without mentioning. And when you start getting wind of a decidedly familiar-sounding movement picking up steam in South Korea, with everybody's 7 favorite boys at the helm, you naturally assume Abby used her wiles to convert them to your cause. This is ridiculous. Oh my gosh, she's on the phone with... But to your surprise, Abby didn't have to do much strong-arming at all. Turns out you already had more in common than you thought. Apparently the boy band was curious about what all the commotion in America was really about, and Abby was more than happy to cut through the media play and walk them through it. She befriended Namjoon, and after many extensive dialectics about justice and the perils of capitalism, it seems the boys were inspired to start a revolution on their own terms. That's ironic, considering that K-pop bands are owned by corporations. So... like, literally created by corporations? Anyway... according to what you're hearing on the news, they've already managed to take over their entire entertainment studio, completely ousting the previous ownership. See, I just need to read a little further. And in their new position of political leverage, they're galvanizing the people of their own nation to stand up for political social change. They seem to have an inordinately principled aversion to murder, which leaves you a bit pessimistic about the ultimate efficiency of their methods. But you'll let them play the game they want, for now. Oh, sigh. Indeed, it appears as if the global movement is fomenting to the wake of the Jubilite uprising. Like in South Korea, parallel movements are cropping up across the world. Some of these insurrections are being waged explicitly in your name, while some are undoubtedly the unique product of the political conditions of those particular regions. I got this whole, like, I learned of Paul, well, I learned from Polonius. Anyway. Only it's like, I learned from Z. Well, I learned from this guy. Anyway. But whatever banner they fly, the people of the world are rising it in a tide. Meanwhile, it's finally time for another formal debriefing. It's been a full month since your last one, when you delegated control of the advanced praxis to the rising star in the organization, Jockeline. Oh, Hussey's back. What up, boy? Stupid. But you haven't been to a debriefing since because you didn't want to make a habit of those meetings. Too much butt-kissing, too much micromanagement of stuff you can't be bothered with, and you've been way too busy with high-stakes diplomacy anyway. You just allowed her the slack to develop these projects on her own while you kept a close eye on her. Look at all these clowns. Did Ring 3 get bigger? And it looks like she's made the most of that slack. The roster of Ring 3 appears to have dramatically expanded under Jockeline's administration, see? A whole lot of new clown faces here, but that's not too surprising. If there's one thing you've learned to never be surprised by, it's the unrelenting accrual of new clowns. More clowns than you could possibly ever know what to do with. Well, if she brought them in, and you assume that she's trying to take you down from the inside, should you really be trusting all these clowns? Anyway... The haircut, not the biggest fan. I liked it better when it was longer. Okay, Jockeline voice, let's do this. See, what a pleasure it is to see you make an appearance at our headquarters. It's been too long since I've had the honor of debriefing you in person, and may I just say, the diplomatic work you've been doing has been remarkable, Z. Thanks, but you really should be referring to me as Supreme Honk Effects. Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. A slip of the tongue. It will never happen again. Now, may I lead you inside so I can begin with the debriefing? My advanced pranks division has been making some incredible strides lately. No, let's stay outside. Could use the fresh air. Just follow me. Say whatever you want to say. First, may I say, if it ever appears that I condescended to describe the tenets of advanced pranks to their author, it is only for the purpose of fully elaborating on them for a wider audience, such as the gallery of rogues here. Who knows how well read these chuckleheads are on Jubilite theory, am I right? I kid, of course. We're all friends here, and we like to joke around. That's what's so good about this movement, don't you think? We keep things light and humorous while other ideologies just get so stuffy and self-important. Not us, though. Self-important, maybe. Water break. Right. Just wanted to make it clear that any over-explaining I may do is simply for the sake of providing a well-rounded presentation to all, yes? That said, let's take it from the top. Advanced Pranksis. The more elite ranks of the Jubilite movement have already been introduced to these things. It's still being kept from the masses at your discretion, of course, so as not to alert our targets to our methods too blatantly. So she's walking from one side of the country club to the tennis court? Is that what that is? But there will come a time when these ideas will permeate the global Jubilite movement to maximize their effect. Soon, I imagine. When it's clear enough to the world that there is no turning back, and I would hazard that the recent work you've done securing the sovereignty of New Whimsifay puts us closer to that moment than ever. So what is it we're doing? The core of these principles is quite simple. It relies on the premise that in order to destroy evil systems of overwhelming power, there is no tactic whatsoever that should be off the table. Everything they are capable of doing to advance their goals, we're capable of doing too, and we must. So if the rich and powerful use their staggering wealth to entrench themselves in their positions of supremacy, then if we're also able to accumulate similar amounts of wealth, which we have, thanks to your brilliance, this means it isn't merely a good idea to use those levers to attack their power, it means we're obligated to use them. It is, in fact, the only way to defeat them. To abide more honorable practices would be to cede advantages to them which are counterproductive to us and wholly undeserved to them. And so, empowered thusly by our supreme Honkafex, about a month ago, I went to work with various channels of the most resourceful Jubilites I could find, not to mention the ones with the least scruples about getting their hands dirty. Good people, really. A dutiful ensemble of particularly salty clowns who just want to make the biggest difference possible. Like me. So let's begin with the example of how one might use such levers. It's well known among upper echelons of our organization that Secretary Apple Pie herself targeted her own parents in a bold initial implementation of Pranksis. But the success of that approach, while phenomenally instrumental in jump-starting this movement, fell far short of total success. They've managed to secure most of their assets. But what other options exist? Well, one of the most direct tactics spelled out by the Supreme Honkafex is to apply assets towards legitimate acquisitions. A relatively small financial firm handles all their money, and once you have billions of dollars in the bank, the question becomes, can't you just outright buy certain companies, take control of them, and then begin to manipulate them to your advantage? Why not? Billionaires and corporations everywhere do this all the time. Buy out competition or purchase smaller inconvenient companies simply to strip or destroy them, or absorb smaller companies into bigger ones after retrofitting them to suit a new purpose. This can work, and we have And we have had success with that approach in a few cases. The problem is that it's a bit slow and very much involves operating within the legal boundaries of a complex system in order to inflict damage on said system. There are much faster ways, and that's when things get more fun. As our supreme Honkafex rightly points out, why go to the expense and bother of purchasing a company when you can simply compromise many of the people who are already running it? It's so much faster that way, and it cuts through a lot of red tape. Many of the people working in these financial firms are a bunch of spineless nerds who, while used to handling the amount of money we're talking about, are not used to actually being paid that much. This makes them highly susceptible to bribery, while their spinelessness makes them susceptible to acts of intimidation and coercion. And if you run into some guys who are afraid of the law, that's where a good exit package can help. Just dangle a few million in front of a greedy coward along with some plane tickets to somewhere in South America, some new identity papers, whatever it takes, and then you have someone who's suddenly very cooperative in helping you move a few billion in assets around. But sometimes even all that isn't quite enough to get results. Sometimes you have a couple of really tough customers who've been fleeced already, and they've already locked everything down, such as Secretary's parents, for example. With hard targets like that, there are certain tactics of last resort which can help move things along, if you catch my meaning. And she does the finger to the neck thing. Someone get a Drax gif up right there. Why would I put my finger up to his neck? Anyway, that isn't your call to make. Oh yes, I know that. I wouldn't even dream of greenlighting such a play without your express approval first. I'm just saying it's always on the table for any of those depraved capital hoarding vultures, not just her parents. I was just using them as a convenient example. So why don't you just tell me what's actually been done instead of explaining all my crap back to me? Absolutely. I'll waste no more of your time, Supreme Honkafex. We can all see you must attend to a geopolitical concerns of higher magnitude than my modest little accounting report. So I shall cut straight to the chase. Jeez. First, I should mention that I've been dividing acquisitions over the last month into two columns: hard assets and soft assets. Assets, of course, are anything of value: cash, stocks, bonds, deeds of property, equity of any sort. Hard assets are now under direct control of the Jubilite organization, such as money in our bank accounts or property owned by one of our members and offered up to the organization. The total hard assets are now valued at around $200 billion. Dang. Right? Not bad for a month of advanced pranksis. Tireless, round-the-clock pranksis by yours truly, mind you, but still a nice haul if I do say so myself. But it gets better. Soft assets I have defined as those not technically in our possession. These are assets still controlled by outsiders who happen to be seriously compromised by us in some way. This means that in the event it becomes necessary, there is a high likelihood the assets could be transferred over to us. Naturally, it gets harder to get a concrete tally of these resources, but my estimates have our global soft assets at about 1.5 trillion. That's a lot of effing money. Sure is. It turns out it's a lot easier to move this kind of money around than you'd think, since there's barely any real footprint to our movement. If we want to quietly transfer stock from a hedge fund into our portfolio, it's just assigned to one of our members, rather than a formal Jubilite entity that's easily traced. We're also counting occupied property as hard assets. That is, any empty house and building our forces have seized and which authorities have deemed too difficult to reclaim. For instance, we have a well-armed Jubilite stationed in thousands of empty summer homes in Martha's Vineyard alone. That is billions of dollars worth of property, not even to speak of the value of the entire island on which we stand. Such seizures have been taking place almost everywhere in the world. I must say it makes accounting estimates difficult. However, I believe you'll find my rough figures to be quite reliable. And all these people you compromise to account for the trillions of bucks and soft assets. Where are these people? Everywhere! I began by targeting the most obvious pressure points of the American economy, the big investment firms, banks, and such. But the more I began delegating the generalized principles of advanced praxis throughout the networks, the more our people began to improvise and target many more entities. There are now thousands of Jubilite operatives working on this. They're squeezing marks in all the big companies. Amazon, Exxon, Facebook, a lot of people actually in Facebook, including Zuckerberg himself, which I don't mind stating with a certain amount of pride. Zuckerberg's a robot. Just kidding. Huh, really? Trust me, Supreme Honk Effects, we've got this guy by the balls. Nice. Sounds like that should come in handy. Oh, believe me, it already has. Turns out compromising the human resource infrastructure of just about any major corporation yields a wider range of benefits than just increasing the financial fluidity of our movement. Pull the strings on a social media giant, control narratives more easily. Well, I think everybody knew that. On an energy giant, influential global geopolitics to your advantage. On an entertainment giant, well, you can just change a lot of hearts and minds that way, can't you? Unless... What are you getting at here? I've been quite pleased to see Secretary Applepie herself taking up the cause of advanced praxis, totally unprompted and uninstructed, but also without including me in the loop or coordinating with my networks in any way. Are you talking about Abby's K-pop stuff? Yes, her excellent work with that Korean group, which is remarkably popular. Somehow, by utilizing the world-renowned status she's achieved through your visionary work, she's convinced the band members to engage in praxis and commandeer the entertainment company that they're under contract with. Yeah, I know about this. This company made about $500 million in revenue last year, and yet due to the way that Secretary has gone about this, she has not compromised them in a way that will allow our organization to siphon any of that revenue away from the company. That's why it's so important for those engaging in advanced praxis to stay connected with my network, to make sure we benefit from each operation. I understand that this was a pet project of hers because she admires these particular musicians. Yeah, it was. I thought she was just screwing around and amazed that she actually got them to actually do it. As am I, but nothing but respect for my secretary. Don't think she compromised them, though. I think they're just doing their own thing. Taking control of their own stuff and vibing with some of the same anti-imperialist stuff that we do. I think Abby's just having fun helping them out is all. And there surely is no harm in having a bit of fun during all this. That's what praxis is all about, right? But I'd also wonder what the exact utility of establishing such a high-profile contacts with no intention of exploiting them. Abby would never let us do that. Precisely, which is why I can't help but feel... What? Well, considering her rank and the influence she holds and the example she could be setting, I can't help but feel that, as much as I love everything she has contributed to our movement, that perhaps someone could be occupying her position who probably contributes a little more to the movement. She's gonna take Abby's gerb. Tangibly, I mean, in terms of improving the bottom line, someone who helps bring a strong financial return on all those advanced praxis efforts. You know, winky face, except no winky face. Yeah, Z's like, shruggles. Well, yeah, I mean, you weren't wrong. You aren't wrong. The type of person you described would objectively be a better fit for the number 2 spot. Can't even argue with that. Everything you just said honestly sounds like incredible. really sensational work. In a month, you could get more money coming in than I thought we'd get in, like, years. And I guess that makes this such a shame. What's a shame? I'm gonna kill you. I just... keep going. Revolver Ocelot here. Okay. Oh no, the twin pistols now. Here we go. We get it. Revolver Ocelot. That doesn't even look like a 3D object at all. After Effects. Put it back in. Hands. I'm just gonna take my mouse off the screen. Oh, right through the head. And that's how socialist movements go. The end. Okay, Revolver Ocelot, we got your point. You can stop. Interesting that she waited like an entire month to like shoot her dead. And her body just... Sorry, that last bounce. I'm sorry. And now everyone's like, okay, out of context, we're kind of frightened. And she's not going to explain it all, but she's really into it. Traitors get bullets. Later. All the clowns around the house. So, I guess you must have heard about what happened today. Abs? Abby? Girl, I'm trying to have a conversation with a normal person. Incredibly having to spend all day with a bunch of weird, butt-kissing clowns makes me feel like I'm losing my mind. Yeah, sorry, I'm just in the middle of an important conversation. Is that your K-pop boy? Yes. How's it been going with him? Very good. It still feels surreal being on speaking terms with one of my idols, though. Guess I can relate. I mean, to him, not to you. Lol. Feels like somebody tells me something like that every day now. Yeah, I guess cult of personality is a powerful thing. It sucks, actually, but yeah, so you hatching more schemes over there with what's-his-face, the leader boy? Namjoon? Yeah. Lol, I think at this point you're just forgetting their names on purpose. Maybe you should just cut it out. Didn't you used to hate it when people got your name wrong? Well, yeah, I did, until I changed my name and it stopped mattering. Maybe they should pick cool new names for themselves like me. They did! When BTS was just starting out, Namjoon called himself Rap Monster. Oh, jeez. Well, never mind then. LMAO. So you got him to hijack his terrible record label? What's next, more prankses? Yeah, we're talking about a few options. It's crazy the amount of influence they have over what could happen in their country. Probably even more than you have here. Well, yeah, clearly, I'm just an American anti-hero cult figure or something, but enemy number one to the state. Those guys are so benign. Way too much cuck energy to be threatening to anyone, but I'm glad you see you're helping them screw things up. I'm not really trying to screw anything up, though. I'm just happy to see them taking full control of their destiny as artists. And I'm barely even doing anything for them. It's all they're doing, really. What about you? Haven't you made inroads with people you admired? I saw that Post Malone is a Jubilite now. It sure seems that way. Got some new clown tats and everything. Wild. Why don't you reach out? I can't. I just embarrass myself and fangirl out if I talk to him. Blow my whole mystique. Besides, I don't think I can, in good conscience, drag Post deeper into this mess. It would probably destroy the poor guy's life. I'm not saying go mess with him or anything. I bet he would like to hear from you. I know this is also insane and very serious business all the time, but I still think you should try to get in on the original spirit of it when you can. You know, try to have some fun. Is Z vaping? Fun? Yeah, right. How can I think about fun? How do you know what I had to do today? Yes, you already tried to ask me, and I was just trying to keep my mind occupied so I don't have to dwell on that stuff. But I'm sure you had a good reason for dealing with Jockeline that way. You're trying to keep us all alive here, and that probably means making tough decisions. But anything like that, like violent stuff, it really triggers me to even thinking about it, so I have to figure out ways to keep myself sane. I know, I don't mean to push it in your face. I never even told you about her because I didn't want to upset you. Told me what? About a month ago, I figured out she was one of the girls who terrorized me after my breakdown a few years ago, and somehow she climbed the ladder as an undercover clown? Supposedly, I mean. You could be wrong. Oh geez, that's really scary. I don't even think she had a problem with me after all this time. I doubt she even believed in anything. She never actually cared about my original problematic stuff I got canceled for. She just enjoyed using it as an excuse to trash me. And then she saw a chance to get involved with something cool and make herself important, and took it. Wouldn't be surprised if her long game was gunning for my spot, not just yours. I just didn't tell anyone I knew, so I could keep a close eye on her. That's what I figured. At least it's over. Yeah, but I have to be more careful. What a train wreck all this is. Anyone could be anyone. Really cool of me to build an organization, which by definition lets your membership conceal who they really are. I just need a tighter ring, that's all. I got too sloppy. I'm sure you'll figure it out. We've really painted ourselves into a corner here. There's so much danger, and we can't really reverse course, so hope you don't mind if I sink myself into these distractions. Yeah, it's fine. We just vibing tonight. Here, want some? Well, no thanks. I'm good with the wine. You really must be tapping into the dregs by now. How much is in that bottle? A couple $100, I think? Ugh, ew. Oh, that is the nasty stuff. You might as well just go out with to the barn and top your glass off with David Hasselhoff's. Well, lol, it's fine. Anyway, since when did you start blazing it? Since like 1 billion tons of weed started getting smuggled onto the island. Seems like a lot of land is getting adapted into weed farming now. That's cool, I guess. New Whimsifay does need an economy after all. Seems like a good export model. Did you order people to do that? And that's making me think of like the Occupy movements where like they're like, yes, we have a community farm. And then they're like, shake my head, city slickers don't know how to farm. Anyway. Nope. A lot of stuff that just sort of happens now. I barely have to do anything operational except preside over the occasional clown execution. Yeah, let's hope that duty stays very occasional. IDK, my hater list is pretty long now. Oh, please, tell me you're joking. What? About doing more clown executions? Yeah, I was joking. But about the list? It's an actual thing. I thought you knew about it. Yeah, I do know. I was hoping you'd just stop keeping up with it at some point. Are you still actually maintaining it? Well, dang it, see? There are so many effing people out there to get us. Really bad people. It's not even just old, crappy haters like Jockeline anymore. I'm tracking nasty government and media people too. A bunch of corporate types. Awful guys, you know. Yeah, I get it. They're all terrible. I just think it's... this hit list stuff is really unhealthy for you. Like, psychologically, it makes you really paranoid, and I'm worried that you... What? That you're psycho? Oh, gosh. Water. I just don't want to see you spiral into that dark place that got you started on all this all over again. I'll be fine. I know I complain about stuff, but I feel much better than I ever did. Everything has a purpose now. I don't need to struggle with my direction in life or what I'm trying to accomplish. That's great and all, and I know you're smarter than me, so sometimes I feel crazy pointing out stuff that sounds like really basic, but All these lists of people you keep, isn't that the kind of thing dictators do? Like keep track of all the people they don't like who are expendable. That's pretty melodramatic take. I'm not planning a mass purge of haters and antis if that's what you're asking. It's only because most of these maggots aren't even worth the energy. Alright, if you say so, but I hope you don't mind if I keep just pulling back from all this in any way I can. I'll always be here for you, of course, but I've been considering just deactivating my social media accounts soon. Are you sure about that? No, it's just something I'm thinking about. To get a little more distance from everything and keep myself sane. Yes, I think the world would be a much better place if people just disconnected from Twitter for like a month. Then we'd all be in a much happier place. People will see it as a formal resignation from your position in the chain of command, though. Someone else would need to fill the void, and you're the only person I trust. I know that, and I'm really wrestling with it. I want to keep supporting you. I just haven't decided what to do yet. Alright then, I'm gonna go pee while you think about it. Give K-pop Monster my regards. Oh gosh, the trippy background music's back. We gonna see Dead Mom? Dead Mom, Dead Mom, I need a little help here. While Abby talks to her new friend who once named himself after a monster, you stare at the mirror at her old friend who may be in the process of turning herself into one. So much crazy stuff is happening constantly. It can be easy to start feeling numb to it, but maybe it's a good idea to reflect on certain surreal truths now and then. Like how maybe it feels pretty messed up when your chill wine buddy has to sincerely offer cautionary remarks about turning into Joseph Stalin. That's ridiculous, of course. Yes, many revolutionaries, after tasting success, would hear the siren's call of mass murder, but you know in your heart that you're different. Yeah, right. That's what they all say. You've never been more sure that you're doing this all for the right reasons, and anyone who tried to convince you otherwise would probably regret it. Oh, there's Dead Mom. Only slightly. She's just looking over her shoulder all the time. Ooh. An urgent news article is blowing up your phone. Nothing ever blows up on your phone unless it's highly relevant to your movement. The fans and key members of your organization are always the first to push the story hard, and it always makes you nervous when it happens. Big stories rarely feel like they contain good news for you. Is that a Nantucket house on fire? And this one is certainly no exception. The report says Abby's parents' mansion has just exploded? Oh gosh. Both are presumed dead, but there's no official confirmation of their deaths. But you don't need confirmation. You know they're dead. Their people did this. There's no other explanation, and they wouldn't have done it if they weren't sure the targets were inside at the time. You feel sick. This was Jacqueline. It had to be her. That woman greenlit those orders behind your back before she died. When she floated the idea to you, it wasn't hypothetical. The orders were already out. Oh, crap. You're gonna tell Abby you're gonna hide this from her. You're afraid to go back and talk to Abby. You have no idea how you can break this to her. In fact, you probably don't even need to. She must have already seen it on her phone already. What do you say? How do you explain this? Uh-oh. I don't like the fact that it's quiet. Please don't tell her she's... Oh, gosh. Please don't tell me she's Sayori'd herself. Please don't tell me she's Sayori'd herself. You tiptoe out of the bathroom. You take possibly tiny footsteps back to the living room. Maybe if you walk slowly enough, you'll simply never arrive. Okay, she didn't Sayori herself, but she is crying. Hey, I'm sorry. I'll be okay. A part of me always sensed this day might come. It wasn't supposed to, though. It was Jacqueline. She mentioned something about it, and I had no idea she already put this in motion without telling me, and I guess I killed her before she had a chance to reverse the order. It's my fault. No, it's mine. I went along with it at the beginning, and it just kept going. I could have stopped it at any time, but I stopped it, but I enjoyed it as much as you did. I finally felt like I was reclaiming part of my soul by ripping them off. The part of me that benefited from all their money at the expense of others. I thought we could use their money to make a difference. It would make me feel better, and it went too far. All of this did. I mean, they weren't good people, though. I know they weren't. It wasn't their fault, though. They just made too much money and spent too much time with the wrong people. Listened to too much bullcrap. And they were family. I didn't want this. Personally speaking, I know this feels really heavy right now, but you get used to being free from your bad parents. I'm sure it'll feel liberating after you let some time go by. See? I don't think that's a nice thing to say right now, but I'm too sad to be mad about it. I have to deactivate my accounts. I'm sure you'll be able to find someone who isn't a backstabber to help you. I'll still follow you all the way because I love you, but there are certain things I can't do anymore. Oh gosh, the acting really got me tearing up. I'm sorry. So is she gonna get that pink-haired clown girl? Who is totally A-okay? We got more psychic damage, but no spoons. Yo, point the AR-15s away. I don't think that's what they are, but whatever. Good to see that David Hasselhoff is still alive. He's like the one good thing in this entire... The feeling of heartbreak leaves a void. Rage fills it quickly as usual. At first, it's anger at yourself. You knew Jacqueline was a traitor, but you strung her along for an entire month, letting her play her games while you were biding your time, waiting for the right moment to put her down. If only you hadn't been so lenient. You could have pulled the trigger weeks earlier, before she had the chance to get carried away. Or you could have just shot her the day you found out about her treachery. I thought she was gonna do that. Surprise, surprise. But why should you be angry at yourself? She was the one who killed Abby's parents, and she was the one who canceled you. Beating yourself up for your leniency is just playing into the hands of people like this. It's letting them win. No, she's the one who deserves all your rage. Like, everyone like her deserves your rage, and maybe even more than just that. Maybe they all deserve what Jacqueline had coming as well. So is she gonna kill all her clowns? Is this suddenly gonna turn very, like, drink the Kool-Aid moment? Oh gosh. But you can't start thinking that way. You remember what Abby was telling you about your hater lists? About what that could lead to? You already hurt her so much. You can't let yourself put her through more grief than she's already endured. You don't know how you'd be able to live with yourself if you destroyed her. Just curling up in the horse barn. You're exhausted. You tell yourself the same thing you've been telling yourself most nights when trying to get to sleep. All these problems will probably seem less insane and unsolvable in the morning. You're never right, obviously, but you tell yourself anyway, like a comforting lullaby. Riotous says hello? Yeah, I thought so. Hello, Riotous. We on a tiny planet. And we got a galaxy. And we got another planet eclipsing the sun. Oh. Does Riotous have a katana? Is he secretly Dirk Strider the entire time? Sorry. Okay. Riotous. Sup? Yes. Don't go. We need to talk. Where would I go? As long as you feel driven to survive, I will always be with you. I mean, don't screw off suddenly. I need more answers. No, I need help. I am only unavailable the moment you wake up. Your time with me is only fleeting if you waste it. I need to know if you're real or if I'm just losing it. If I were a figment of your imagination, couldn't I just answer, yes, I am real? Your subconscious could insist on my reality through this lie, to continue tricking you. And if I were real, couldn't I simply lie about that as well, to plant seeds of doubt in your head about the origin of the ideas you are sharing with the world?
This just sounds like a fancy bullcrap way of saying, maybe I can't trust anything you say?
Or perhaps you can't. Didn't you already know that? Why are you asking me to confirm something to you when you know the mere act of confirmation would be part of the deception? Wouldn't it be better to assume I'm real and ask me these important questions you have? Then, after I answer, you're free to wake up and decide what value those answers have when making your next decisions.
Ugh, okay. Last time you were popping off about your, insane psychic imperialism.
I was.
Yeah, that's what you were hinting at.
Then what's your question?
I don't even know yet. I guess I'm just trying to confirm that's what's going on here, based on the presumption you're real.
As I just explained, I can't even confirm I'm real, let alone confirm what you just asked. But I can continue doing as I've done, which is to speak of certain possibilities.
Like what?
Such as the possibility that I was not even the first Jubilite, as your manifesto describes.
Huh? Are you saying you aren't?
I'm saying you should consider the possibility that I am not. Consider that I was once a member of a race of people on a far-off planet which was not called Whimsifay, and who had never heard of the Jubilites, or even had any particular affinity for clowns.
Man, what the hell?
Also consider that I was visited in my dreams by a being that was self-described as the first Jubilite from a planet called Whimsifay, and she told me everything I've told you. Eventually, it began telling me to consider even deeper truths about her reality. She began asking me to consider that she was not the first either, and then came the promises.
Promises?
She promised glory, infamy, immortality. She promised a transcendence of the physical form, of attachment to my original planet and culture. She promised even that I would rise above everything I accomplished with the conquest of my own world. She told me there was so much more to discover, if only I ever persevered and achieved absolute victory.
Are you telling me that's what's in store for me if I, win?
I'm not telling you anything. I'm asking you to consider it, just as she was.
Okay, I think I get the game you're playing and the, weird verbal rules it has for some reason. Whatever, I can play along.
You have already been. As I said before, you've been doing very well.
So when she told you that stuff, hypothetically, what did you do?
I continued doing what I had already been doing, because regardless of where the ideas originated, I believed that what I was doing for my world was right, and I continued with additional vigor. Because it was then that I began to believe I was becoming a crucial part of something which had great cosmic significance. It seemed to me that I was assuming a place in the lineage of unfathomably consequential figures, which spans millions of years and billions of stars.
I guess that's sort of a motivation? Sure.
It doesn't sound like the type of idea which motivates you, though.
I don't know. It's a lot.
That's a perfectly reasonable stance, and it is why my predecessor felt it was important to leave the truth of herself as speculative, and why I'm doing so with you as well, because there is no motivation which can truly substitute the feeling of conviction that what you are doing is right. And that sense must come from within you, not from fairy tales of space and infamy.
Well, I do think what I'm doing is right, but it's also really hard and screwing up my friendship and making me feel sad all the time.
I didn't say it was easy. In fact, I'm telling you the opposite, just as my predecessor told me.
But it sounds like she lit a fire under your butt all the same. When she told you all this stuff, didn't she say you did it with, extra vigor?
Yes.
What does that even mean?
It means I was brutal. Is this not what you wanted to hear?
It sounds screwed up, and it sounds like what I'm already worried about and what Abby's really worried about. I don't think I can hurt her anymore.
I remember what it was like to have immortal concerns like these.
I feel nothing but sympathy for what you're experiencing, but these are very small matters compared to the grand scale we're discussing. You must understand. It sounds like you're trying to convince me of being more hardcore about this, but trust me, dude, I'm already there. You really aren't. Man, I made lists, and I shot a girl today, and she killed Abby's parents, and I'm not lecturing you, I'm actually paying you a compliment. You have come so much farther than I did in a much shorter period of time. How long did it take you? It took me many years to crush all forces of opposition on my planet. The lives lost were countless. You have spent only months pursuing your mission, and yet, incredibly, you are on the precipice of total victory. I am? The fact that success is so nearly within your grasp may not be obvious to you, but it is very clear to me. So, if what I'm hearing is right, you've been coming into my dreams basically to finally tell me how much better at this I am than you. That is not inaccurate. But it is also foolish to be overconfident, and even more foolish to assume the level of brutality you've already inflicted will be remotely sufficient for completing your mission. Withdrawing now from your instincts for survival and the violence that flows from it naturally would be a great mistake. I don't know if I really... Abby thinks I should just delete these lists. Katana God says, what? She's not the supreme hunk effects. You are. I know. There were so many who opposed me too. Their methods and motivations are always the same. Ridicule, jealousy, conniving, greed, lust for your power. They will all try to kill you eventually. I promise. So I should... You remember why you wrote your lists originally, don't you? Yeah. Don't you remember what they did to deserve it? There is nothing else for me to say because you already know this as well as I. The moment you wrote down their names, they were already dead. Oh, we got the nose bleeding again. Yeah. No, not good. It's a bad thing. You wake up and it's still nighttime. How long were you out? It couldn't have been more than a few hours. The dream was the most intense you ever had. So intense you're bleeding somehow. Your phone's covered in blood too. And you've been gripping your phone so tight your hand hurts. What the... It appears your entire hater list has been copied to a text message addressed to Ring 3. Did you do this in your sleep? Uh-oh. Oh no! All the haters are dead! They've responded with understandable confusion. They're wondering what this purpose of this list is and what you want them to do. But you know there's only one possible reason you would have dropped this list here, unconsciously or otherwise. Uh-oh. Here we go. Understanding the correct moral choice is rarely that hard. You usually have more than enough information available to decide. A good friend who loves you, a girl who's done everything in her power to keep you from going astray, and offered as collateral was her heart, which would shatter if you fell too far. But there are other factors to consider. Factors which all good sense and the hearts of our loved ones have rarely been able to compete with. There is the factor of inevitability. Oh, she doing it. Your vision was inevitable. The sledgehammer it's taken to the capitalist order of this planet was inevitable. And what is perhaps also inevitable is your wrath. As Riotous rightly pointed out, these people brought this upon themselves. The moment they spoke your name with a sense of spite, they should have known they were speaking of a suicidal curse, inviting this inevitability into their lives someday. Yep, she has completely lost it. Inevitability is defined by the forces which try to stop it. Its strength is measured by everything that gets in its way, only to be crushed. The power of a nation, the heart of a friend, and even the conscience of the host, or that is to say, the vessel meant to deliver the unstoppable. Your conscience can make you bleed through the nose and turn your knuckles white to put up a fight against the inevitable. Whoa, that's enough. You can stop now. But just like every single one of these miserable rats, it's never even stood a chance. Please don't show us the results. Thank you. I was like, please don't show us those results. Thank you very much. Oh, crap. Well, that was a thing. Yeah, so. Huh. Well, yeah, I think we all knew that this is where this is going. Or she's like, yeah, I'm not gonna go and kill everyone. I'm like, are you sure this is a socialist movement? It's not a socialist movement if there isn't a lot of people getting killed. And I can't save there, I forgot. Boosh. To the main menu. But yeah, okay. Well, that's all there is for this one, I guess. Okay, just a big reminder that, of course, 4/13 is going to be the next Psycholonials day. And also, we'll probably... No, probably. It will. If I get everything in my corner and I learn the HTML, everything will be fine. My 4/13 project will come as to fruition. I should have like something to like announce the 4/13 thing that's happening really soon, but I've got like I've almost finished it. I have like oh gosh, like an entire like sequence that I still have to finish, and like gosh, I can't even go into the details. I don't want to spoil anything. It's been killing me. I'm like, I want to show screenshots of what I'm working on, but I can't, because then people will know what I'm working on. I can't do that. But anyway, thanks for listening to my ramblings. Thanks for sticking around for me while I'm reading Psycholonials. You are wonderful simps. I will see you all next time. Bye! I apologize if you don't like being called a simp.
Hey there. Consider becoming a patron, just like the phenomenal Bleed Red, Alexander Madeline, Uranium Coffee, Ryan Nelson, and Runda.